Welcome to Build a Drone Reviewer podcast, episode 64 and 65, Rotor Talk Live. Very special guest David from Kloogee and Mavic Air 2 Fimi X8 SE 2020 updates. Got all that coming up next. In episode 64, I was joined by David from Kloogee Tech, and we had a great evening. We spent a majority of the evening discussing the DJI Mavic Air 2. We also spent some time talking about David recently got the Autel Evo 2 and shared his thoughts and opinions on that. So without any further ado, we're going to roll that broadcast in its entirety, and then between the two, I'll tell you about episode 65. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 3, Episode 21. Very special guest, David from Kloogee. David, how are you this evening?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me on, Bill.
Oh, it's been way too long to have you on. We should have had you on a whole lot sooner. Just as a couple of programming notes, just to make sure everybody know, Ron and Marcus, they're going to be on probably about once a month or so. They have their own channels and the weather's getting nice and they want to get out and do the thing that we're supposed to be doing now, flying. So, plus they have Zino Nation to devote to, but they're still very much connected, still very much a part of the channel. And we say greetings to them and hope they're enjoying watching the broadcast tonight. The other thing that I want to say is I want to thank everybody who watched my special 2 live streams yesterday. Normally I do Memorial Day live stream from my Phantom 4 Pro V2.0, but it was way too windy down here. We had 25, 30 mile an hour gusts, so didn't do that yesterday. So I did it from inside here, and I shared a little bit about my dad and his service in World War II. And I want to thank everybody for your very kind remarks on that. Also, I did an update on the Fimi X8 SE 2020, and we're going to talk a little bit about this with David coming up here. A couple housekeeping items before we get into things. One of the things I want to share with everybody now, I found this out from our good friend Lauren over who's been on the show before, and let me go ahead and share this screen here. Now, he said very important. If you do an upgrade, and this is regarding the Mavic Air 2, and the drone will not connect, you must upgrade the drone with DJI Assistant. This is a bug that needs to be fixed. So I wanted to make people aware of that, just to get that out there so you know that. And right now I've been a force of habit of just because I'm flying from home most of the time. I just do it from DJI Assistant anyway. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is I was on a podcast the other night. It hasn't been published yet, but it's from a gentleman named Preston Jensen, and he's out in, I believe, Fargo, North Dakota. And I'm very much looking forward to that. Had a great evening with him. Hopefully going to have him on in the not too distant future. And he and Russ are probably going to get together because apparently they don't live too far apart. As you know, Russ from 51 Drones lives in North Dakota as well. So I had a great talk with Preston. I'll definitely drop a link to his channel. You want to check him out. He actually owns a drone company. He does fly commercially up there in North Dakota, and he's doing quite well. So just wanted to pass these couple of things on here, and we're going to get into it. So David, I know you work from home, so I assume and I have to ask you this. I have to ask you this because I know you have 2 boys. How is it with them being at home and you're working from home? How's that worked out?
It's been a bit of a challenge, although now they're done with school. So now the biggest challenge is getting them alive. So when they were still doing school, we were making them get up at a reasonable time and do their homework and that kind of stuff and get them going for the day. But now that they don't have school, they think that they can just sleep all day. And one day I'd left. Most of the time I work from home, but one day I had to leave, and I left the house at like 6 a.m. and I got back at like 1 p.m. Well, one son was like just barely had been awake for just a little bit and was on the couch watching YouTube on the TV. My other son was upstairs in his bed and still at 1 p.m. So I grabbed a cup, filled it up with a little bit of cold water, said, It's time to start your day, buddy.
Well, it's funny.
He was not very happy with me that day.
I completely understand. Well, our dog in the backyard, all of a sudden she'll just want to go and plop and lay down and not move for anybody. So I learned a trick. I did this like 2 years ago, and she still remembers. I got a cup of cold water and I got some on her tail. Just, let's get up and get going. And she comes in. All I have to do is stand outside and hold a cup. Okay.
Yeah.
And she comes running inside right now. So we don't have a problem with all of that. So, all right.
I think our dog is the one that's enjoying all this quarantine stuff the most. He's got so much attention.
Oh, same here. Ours. Yeah. It's like
he's loving it.
Yeah. My wife's out in the den. When she's working from home, and she has a dog pillow out there. There's a dog pillow in the family room. And then there's a dog pillow in our room. And it's like, who gets spoiled most in this house? Certainly not me. Okay. We know who's not in the house. I mean, I
don't know how big your dog is, but I got a 70-pound dog that's decided he's a lap dog.
Yeah. Ours is about 65 pounds. So yeah, she's the same. She's the same kind of, she's just a big old baby. As far as concerned. Yeah. So, Mavic Air 2. I know you had a great show about it. What are your thoughts and impressions of it so far?
You know what? My initial thought is that it's honestly the drone that I would recommend for 99% of people. If somebody asked me, what drone to get, if they have something more than $400 to spend, I would say the Mavic Air 2 is the drone that they should select. It's not, it doesn't have every feature that say the Mavic 2 has. It doesn't have every single bell and whistle, but I think the majority of people don't need every single bell and whistle. And if they're just going to be going out and flying and having fun and trying to get, a few nice looking pictures and some nice video, it's a fantastic drone. I think I said when the original Mavic Air came out that, if you just give it a little bit more battery life and you give it OcuSync, you'd have a home run. And that's pretty much what we get with the Mavic Air 2 is we get exactly that. It's a little bit bigger. I wish it still was the form factor, the size of the original Mavic Air, but you know what? I'll take the OcuSync 2 and the extra battery life over the little bit smaller. With my original Mavic Air, it seemed like I was always just just getting in the groove of what I was wanting to do, and then you get that low battery.
Yeah. Well, I first encountered that when I had the Spark. Okay. It's like, man, I'm getting some good shots. And then next thing you know, I'm hearing the beep and I'm looking on the screen. It's like low battery. And I'm like,
yep.
Man, it's like, it never fails. And and I agree with you as far, one of the things with that I've loved about this is the battery life on it. I mean, it's been absolutely stellar. Well, I've done several hyperlapses, and hyperlapses eat battery really fast. Okay. And I was pretty doggone impressed because I did a hyperlapse to the far end of my lake, which is almost 2,000 feet away. And, and I did it coming back and it was still, I had like 35% battery left. I mean, I was pretty impressed. I mean, of course I started out with a full battery, but I had 35% left when I got back, which I thought was pretty great.
Yeah. It's a great little drone. I mean, it takes some great images. I put like a little teaser of a low light out I put it on my community page or something on YouTube and posted it to some of my socials. And it's got a little bit of noise in it, but I mean, for the size of sensor it has, it does a fantastic job. And I've been really impressed with it.
Yeah, I did see that on your you posted on the community page, and I did see that, and that was very impressive. I mean, and I think you made a real good point when we first started talking about it. Is that this drone is right for about 99% of the people out there, and I agree. And it's as I stated before it came out, it is really a natural progression from the Mini to the Mavic Air.
Yep.
I mean, it really. It fits that in between it's just right. Okay. It's not as robust as the Mavic 2 series, and it's not as, light as, and I'll use the word light as the Mavic Mini. Okay. Because to me, I love the Mavic Mini, but its Achilles heel is how light it is. And
The wind.
the wind. Yeah. I mean, down, I thought it was windy in Ohio. Okay. It's like down here, 9 times out of 10 when I can't fly, it's not because it's raining. It's because it's too windy. Okay.
Yeah, that's the biggest limiting factor for the Mini. It's a great little drone. It doesn't do everything, of course, but its biggest Achilles heel is you just can't fly it in wind that with other drones you just don't even think about. Like with my Mavic Air, or Mavic Air 2 now, or the Mavic 2 Pro, or the Autel Evo 2, or any of those, I just send it. I don't even really think about it. And with the Mini, I'm always like, okay, well, how fast is the wind blowing? What's the gusts? I'm really like soup, because I've had a couple of fairly scary situations with the Mavic Mini where I wasn't completely sure I wasn't going to be going for a long walk to try and go get it, because even in sport mode, it was not wanting to come back. So I was pretty lucky to get it back to me and not have to go for a long walk to chase it downwind. So,
well, yeah, that's always a good thing. And I had some. It was really interesting when I had I was filming a test, and it was my AK hyperlapse, and I'm like, okay, I get the notice from ADSB that there's a plane. All right, I click on the button to open up the map, and and I had the default option checked, and I didn't see anything on the map, so I hit the other one, didn't see anything on the map, hit the other one, didn't see anything on the map. Okay, and then about 25 minutes later, okay, I'm filming another segment, and you can audibly hear in that segment there's a plane overhead, and I'm like, okay, all right, time out here, because I know, and I did some research. There are a very few exceptions to the rule. One of them is if an aircraft was built without an electrical system. A lot of pre-World War II Piper Cubs were built around World War II, and a lot of them were built without electrical systems. Okay, those are exempt from it. But most aircraft, I mean, as of January 1st, 2020, have to have it. But there's certain classes of airspace they can get away with not having it in.
That's right. They can fly in Class G airspace as long as they never go into any of the controlled airspace. If they stay in Class G, that's one of the things I was going to say about ADSB in terms of where I live. Geographically, I live kind of halfway between like the Cincinnati airports and the Dayton airports, and so I'm pretty far away for most of the stuff that I do from controlled airspace. And so the little airports around here, a lot of the little private airplanes and stuff, they don't have ADSB. So for me, where I live and where I fly most of the time, ADSB isn't terribly useful for me, I don't think. Now, I know a lot of people fly in different places than what I fly in, and it could be more useful. But for where I fly, and I've had situations exactly the same as what you're saying, where I get a little pop-up saying, hey, there's an airplane, and I have to like zoom out on the map to try and find where it is. So that's one of my complaints, I guess, about it, is it doesn't give me as much information as I was hoping it would give. Right, I was hoping it would tell me, hey, there's this plane that's flying at 900 feet, or that it would give some altitude and some distance, to give me some sort of context. I mean, it's good to know, hey, there's an airplane in the area, but it would be even better if it gave me some sort of context of where that is in relation to me, and whether it really is a problem. Because I mean, I know you're a 107 pilot and you follow the rules pretty closely. I'm pretty closely to that as well myself, and especially the altitude. I never go above the altitude issue, and so generally speaking, planes aren't going to be an issue for me, especially the ones that are definitely going to have ADSB. Commercial airlines and that kind of stuff that have to have it, those are never going to be a problem for where I'm flying. It's really the small commuter or the small personal aircraft or helicopter. And I've been watching Flight Radar 24 for a couple of years now, keeping an eye on when I'm outside at one of my son's ball games or something like that, and there will be kind of a low flying airplane, and I'll pop open my phone and check out Flight Radar 24, and will not necessarily see most of the planes on there. I don't know how it is in your area though.
Well, one of the things I was going to tell you is where I live in Tampa, it's really kind of funny because I'm almost right on the Gulf Coast here, and about 5 miles is MacDill Air Force Base, and then MacDill Air Force Base is about 2 miles from Tampa International Airport. So, and what's real interesting is there are sometimes, and this has happened before. There was one night I'm taking the dog outside, and next thing I know, I told my wife, I said, "You need to come here." There were I counted three. I think there was probably a total of four A-10 Warthogs. I don't know if you know what that plane looks like. You're I'm not hearing you, David. There
Can
you
hear
go.
me now?
Yeah, I can hear
Must
you.
have accidentally hit my mute button on the Yeti here. Sorry about that.
No, I don't know if you know what the A-10 Warthog looks
Yeah,
like.
I love the A-10. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite planes.
Well, four of them go flying overhead. Well, I saw three of them, and I didn't have my phone. It was sitting on my table. I didn't do that, but they were and they were like you could see the USAF on it. I mean, it was that they were that they probably weren't more than 200 feet up in the air, kind of a thing. So we do occasionally get military aircraft, but they're not going to show up on ADS-B anyway. But I do get there are a lot of private aircraft in the vicinity and right around here. And then, I have a hospital by me that has a heliport, and that comes up every time that I go to fly. But I'm about 6 miles away from it, so it's not really an issue. But with all the private aircraft, for me, it's kind of invaluable because there are times I'm up there flying, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing that little drone buzz, not drone per se, but drone buzz of a plane. Okay. First I'm thinking, oh, my neighbor's out mowing the grass. No, it's not my neighbor. There's a plane out there. Okay. So it's, it's still, and as somebody pointed out on my video, and it's a good thing. It's like, and I use this analogy. I have a blind spot monitor on my truck. Okay. And it's like right now, I don't know what I would do without a blind spot monitor. Well, it's like if I go to drive my wife's SUV, she doesn't have a blind spot monitor. It reminds me all the time, make sure you look when you're passing, I don't have that blind spot monitor that you have in your truck. So, it's one of those things. It's like, be aware of the situation that you're in. I think that really kind of sums that up. One of the other things that's real exciting about the Mavic Air 2, and I know Lauren has mentioned this frequently, was that there's going to be an update. It's no secret. There's going to be an update that the Mavic Air 2 is going to work with a smart controller. David, I don't know about you, but that's almost like another Christmas present.
That was one of the first things I went and looked on their website after they released it, and it was right away in the FAQ. It said that a future firmware would update to make it compatible. And yeah, absolutely. I hate flying with my phone, to be honest with you. I hate having to always find a cable because it's not as bad with the DJI products, but some of the products like Autel, there's no way to actually like store a cable on the controller itself. Or the Hubsan actually has this connected as well, so this isn't as bad. But the Skydio is the same way as the Autel. So I'm always like trying to make sure that I actually have my cable, and then I got to put my phone in there, and then I'm always getting alerts popping up for various different. I just use my phone for so many different things. I don't like using it to fly with. And the smart controller, I absolutely love it. You just turn it on and it's connected. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to connect any cables. You don't need to, if you're using an iPad, you don't have to, have your bracket to be able to fit it in there. You just turn it on and you fly. I would love it if the screen was a little bit bigger on the smart controller, but I love that it's 1,000 nits. You can see it out in the bright sunshine. I also have, when I'm just kind of flying for myself or just for doing some testing and stuff like that, I don't always use this, but when I'm doing some of my professional work, I've got an HDMI 4K HDMI panel that's 2200 nits that I have the lift door bracket, so I connect that to the smart controller, and I love having that extra 7-inch screen. I make it so that none of the telemetry or any of those details, it's just purely the camera view is showing in that HDMI monitor, and I can look down at the actual screen of the smart controller. So I can't wait for that to be added to the Mavic Air 2, because I like I said, I hate flying with these things.
Oh, I agree.
They work, but it's
they work.
The smart controller is just so awesome.
It's like the first thing I do is I have to take. I mean, I have a thin case. I have a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and I got to take it out of the case before I can put it in there. I mean, it'll fit, but trying to get the cable in there, it's problematic because it needs to be flush up against the bottom of the phone. And, with the case, a lot of times that doesn't happen. Okay. And the other thing is, those cables are just big enough. Okay. They're not, it's not like it's, you have any, there's no extra wiggle room. So what I did was I did some research, and PGY Tech makes a cable. I actually did some research. The one that was on their website was a little too expensive, so I got one off of Amazon. It says it's for the Osmo Action, but it's the same type of right angle. It's USB-C to USB-C, which is going to be perfect, and that's what I'm going to start using with that. But it's like, okay, when that smart controller update comes, it's going to be great. Now, I think you probably know what, and I put a video out. It's probably maybe a couple of weeks ago that they finally got the update for the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0.
It took them so long after that beta. The beta worked great, but that was such a terrible experience with that beta because they just no feedback at all. It was just terrible. I can't believe it took them so long. I was 100% expecting that when they relaunched the Phantom 4 Pro V2, that they would like do a coordinated, like, here's your firmware update for the smart controller, and here we can do this too. I mean, wouldn't that have been fantastic for them to do that?
Oh, it would have been, marketing wise, it would have been a home run, and they could have done a bundle. They could have bundled the smart controller with the with the Phantom 4 Pro, maybe save $150 or something like that. I mean, it would have flown through the roof, literally.
Yep. I agree. I saw you shocked that it took so long
out on that forum for the beta testing, because I was a beta tester too, and I was like, I'm like you. I'm just like, give me a brick wall. Let me start hitting my head against it, because none of this makes any sense. It's like, why don't you have this ready and available? And it's like it's a no brainer, guys. And it's like, and then they responded to me after a while. And they said, at this point, we have no further plans for doing anything with it. And I'm like, okay, so why did you have us beta test it? And then it comes out.
Yeah, their communication is just awful when it comes to that stuff. They never communicate. It's always frustrating.
Yeah.
Speaking about the smart controller, though, the most recent firmware update, I get occasional times where the camera view just like dies in DJI Go 4. And I have to like force quit DJI Go 4 and then relaunch it, and then it's just fine. Have you seen any of that at all?
No, I haven't had that. And I did do the.
I've seen a few people mention it. I don't remember if it was on the DJI forum or in Facebook groups or somewhere, but I've seen a couple of people, at least a few people, mention that as well. It hasn't happened too often, but it has happened at least twice to me in all the flights I've done since I've done the most recent firmware update on the smart controller.
Yeah, I haven't had that happen to me, and I think that's gonna, that's something that needs to be addressed. And one of the things I know, I had talked about this with Marcus, and I don't know about you, but on the on the Fly app, okay, what really it's my pet peeve about it, okay, is the colors of the symbols and the lettering on there. They're white, okay.
Yeah,
trying to find.
That's honestly the best thing about using an iPad with the DJI Fly app, is because at least with this is the iPad Pro 11-inch, because it's more square. It's not the 16:9. It's taller. So there's actually black bars at the top. So the telemetry actually ends up in the black bars, whereas on my iPhone, all the telemetry and the battery percentage and whatever is right at the top over the top of your camera view, and it's really hard to see it. And I know a million, everybody complains about it.
Oh, it's just in that and being in IT. Okay, I used to be a developer, but I mean, that's not a hard fix. That's not gonna that's not gonna break the bank to fix something like that. And I've seen them
All
so
they need is just a slight gradient, like a gray, like 20%, 30% gray gradient that doesn't, like, it's transparent. It just gives a little bit of contrast between the white, and because most of the time it's the sky that's up there.
yeah.
And so you got either clouds or you got the blue sky, and the white over that light blue of the sky or whatever is just, it's hard to see.
Now, what do you think of the DJI Fly app? I know a lot of people are a big fan of it, and I think DJI probably has listened. What do you think?
I'm conflicted with it, right? So, I mean, part of the problem with it was they launched it with just the Mavic Mini, and it was meant to be super simple and not to have every feature. So there wasn't every feature in there. They've added a few more features in for the Mavic Air 2. I think it's pretty good. I think that where they kind of have hidden a few things is a little awkward in terms of, like, if you're going to if you want to do the white balance, it's not just under the normal, like, camera menu where you change, like, shutter speed and all that other stuff. You have to go dig into the other menus, and then you just have a slider for the degrees Kelvin. You don't have, like, a sunny, cloudy, daylight, whatever. You don't have different options to choose from. You have to know that a cloudy day is a certain Kelvin and a sunny day is 5500 Kelvin and whatever, if you want to change that. And I easily remember the daylight numbers around 5500, but for some reason I can never remember what the cloudy day Kelvin number is. So I have to, like, think about it for a second before, and most of the, in DJI Fly, you just go select sunny or cloudy or whatever, and it's super simple. And I know it's better, to have that, but to actually have the Kelvin so that you can actually dial it in perfectly for what you want. But that seems to me like it's more a pro feature than it is for an easy feature. Like, it seems like they're trying to make DJI Fly, right? It's for more beginners. Beginner doesn't really want to have to know that 5500 Kelvin is daylight and whatever. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm kind of
little things like that.
Yeah, I'm like you as far as I appreciate after having flown drones for about 4 years now, 3-4 years. I really appreciate the Go 4 app and all the options that you have available for it. But it's like the old thing that keeps cropping up all the time that people say is, a lot of things are buried in menus, and you have to memorize where things are via the menus. Okay. And after a while, you get used to it. Okay. And I think both you and I know Marcus, Ron, everybody I know are used to the menus. Okay. And then comes the Fly app. Now, the Fly app in and of itself, I think its big plus is its menu structure is more geared toward, I would say, a beginner or a second drone type of flyer.
Yep. Yeah, and that's how they introduced it, right? Is they started off with their two smallest and lowest end drones, being the Mavic Mini and the Mavic Air 2. I guess it'll be interesting to see how it expands to encompass, future drones that are probably at the higher end of their spectrum. Will they continue to go with the Fly app for all their future consumer/prosumer drones, like if there's a Mavic 3, will they continue to expand DJI Fly? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think you've got a point. I think, you kind of, after you fly enough time or you do any activity for a certain amount of time, you kind of get muscle memory in terms of, here, I just do this. I just click, and I can get to what I want. And I think DJI Fly is still, for me, I use the Mavic 2 Pro as my most used drone, and that's what I use when I do my paying jobs and that kind of stuff. And so, going back to Mavic Air 2, I'm kind of I'm not there with the muscle memory on finding everything in the Fly app, but I think it's good enough. I do think there's, a few things like you're saying in terms of making it more readable for the telemetry, and some of those things would really help.
Well, one of the other things here is the Mavic 3, and that's going to be, from what I've heard from Lauren, and from all indications are it's going to be before probably in July, which is a real quick turnaround from just getting the Mavic Air 2.
Yeah, that would really surprise me.
Yeah, it would kind of surprise me too. But I mean, I got to say this, Lauren's track record is pretty good, and that's one of the reasons. I mean, he's in the chat right now.
Yeah, I see him in there.
He's one. He said, until the end of July, he really can't be on. So that was one of those things. He was kind of like Rick Smith, okay? Because Rick Smith says, when I can't talk to you, Bill, that means I'm under an NDA, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's like okay.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to, I've sent Rick several emails and stuff, and he hasn't replied back. But I'm assuming he's probably under an NDA right now, because that's when he won't reply back because of something like that. So,
Lauren says, don't bet on July now.
Don't bet on July. Well, it's like, yeah, and I would say probably with everything that's gone on, because I did read today on Drone DJ that the Mavic Air 2 shipments are being delayed from China right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. because of production, shipping, that kind of thing. So it's and there's a lot of shipping that's going on right now too because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Carrier.
Yeah, everybody's trying to catch up with the backlog and everything, and still trying to figure out all their personnel and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be, it's probably going to be a while, and that's, and my guess, it's probably playing into that, and also, you realize, that a company such as DJI has suppliers that supply them with a lot of the raw materials, and there could be issues there as well too. So,
yeah.
But it's probably going to come out sometime this year, and it's just like, it's like, okay. You get your head wrapped around this, and then the Mavic 3 comes, but that's to be decided. We'll leave that at another go. Now,
yeah, I can't wait to see what they eventually bring out for the Mavic 3.
Me too. I think it's going to be interesting with the capabilities of that, and my guess, and this is just my guesstimation. It's going to have all the capabilities of the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0, but in a compact package. I mean, it's going to have probably that mechanical shutter that people have been talking for, the 1-inch sensor. I think it's going to be pretty robust in its feature set. I know you've had an experience with a non-DJI product, the Hubsan Zino 2.
I've got all kinds of other drones. I got white drones, I got orange drones, I got blue drones, I got gray drones. So I got them all. But so you're specifically asking about this one right here. So this is the Hubsan Zino 2, and it's been a bit of a challenge. So it had a firmware update not too long ago. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but I was probably a couple weeks behind actually trying to get it installed, and it just would not install for some reason. And so actually just finally today, after I think a little over a week of trying to be in contact with Hubsan support, they finally got back to me overnight with an email with a file that they had me put on a FAT32 formatted SD card. It had to be that. It couldn't be some other format. And finally got the firmware update to install, but it was a little over a week where I could, even if I wanted to fly it, I couldn't fly it because it's stuck in this loop of, hey, you tried to update, but it failed, so you got to try and update it. So I couldn't even do anything with it. And then I just a couple hours ago, quite honestly, I put it up for its first flight, and it's not a it's not a precision instrument. I'll just say that, right? So it loves to move around. I put you put the one of the odd tails up, you put a DJI up. If there's negligible wind, it just is rock steady and will just stay in one spot. That Hubsan, I'm afraid to take my eyes off of it if it's anywhere near anything for, because it wanders around quite a bit. And of course, it doesn't have any sort of an obstacle avoidance system in it. And, it's not just moving around this way. It's, it's moving all directions around. So it's a bit of a challenge. And, when it's not precise on the stick movements, right? So it's sitting here and you just want to move it forward just a little bit. Well, it'll go forward a little bit, but then it seems like it comes back at you a little bit. And so trying to get it in a precise location, landing on my deck is a bit of a challenge with it. It probably has a little bit of a scuff. It had a little bit of a fight with one of the chairs on my deck as I was landing at one of the times. So it was yeah, so I don't think the Zino 2 is going to be staying with me for very much longer. I know that you put yours up for sale, or you sold yours.
Yeah, I did sell mine. I sold it without even taking it up in the air. And it's hearing your experience, and I know Ron and Marcus have had different experiences. Ron has had a pretty good experience. Marcus has said has had the same kind of experience as you. And and the other thing is, and this is a known issue, that lens flare issue. It's something that's physical. It's part of the hardware, whether it's the actual lens itself or inside the system. It's hardware that needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
And
the other problem that I have an issue with is the connection. It'll keep a connection for a pretty fair distance, but it seems like it's 480p or something. Like the connection, the screen you get just is not really clear. Like I'm used to, with the Autel and the Skydio and the DJI, it's a crystal clear, on your phone when you're sitting there watching through the camera. Most of those are 720 or 1080p for the feed that's coming back at you. The Zino 2, it is I don't know what it kind of looks like you're looking through a potato while you're looking, on your phone. It's not been a good experience. I'll just say that. So I don't know if I'll end up doing a final review before I sell it, or if I'll just sell it and just call it good.
Well, and on the heels of that, one of the other drones that I've purchased and I'm waiting for is the Fimi X8 SE 2020. I know Marcus has had some good experience with it. I also know Ron's had experience. He actually got to fly Marcus's and some other ones that I've talked to. And I know Jaybird has one. And, people have generally been very positive about it. And I realized there was one video that came out on it recently out on my Facebook group. One of the gentlemen posted this video, and he said he had the settings. He didn't have everything cranked up as far as the settings were concerned. And the quality of the video was really impressive. And figuring, for what I ended up paying for this drone, it's going to be a great deal. I mean, it's on, we're hearing shipment dates, and I put out a video about that last night. But I think this is going to be much better than the Zino 2, David. I really do.
Yeah, I hope so. I will say that there's some things about, say, the controller that I really like, that in comparison to this is the Autel Evo 2 controller. And, this one, there's not removable sticks. This one, $500 one or whatever, $400 one has removable sticks. Simple things like there is a button here to switch between, I forget exactly what they call it, but, it's basically DJI equivalent of tripod mode, normal mode, and sport mode. There's a button there that you can actually change between those modes super quick, right? And I use that all the time on my DJIs. There's no button anywhere or anything. Even in the software interface, you have to press 3 buttons and get your camera view to go away on the Autel to be able to switch from standard mode to ludicrous mode. There's several. There's no place to be able to connect if you're using and store your cable on here. So you got to make sure that your cable is in your bag. This has, just like the DJI has, the cable here. So there's a bunch of little things that are actually pretty decent about this, that on a drone that's 3 times as much, they don't exist on this controller. So, and one of the simple little things that I like is that, you know, whether you want the antenna up this way or you want them down this way, it's just super simple. You just rotate them, you know, quarter turn, whichever way you want. This, you have to, I always forget which way. Okay, so if they're here in the storage position, to get them to go down, you can't just push it down. You've got to go 270 degrees around to get them down there.
Oh, wow.
Just and that's like, you know, first world problems, right? I mean, but just
Yeah.
little simple, like silly things like that, you know, why can't I just like push those down right there, right? And get them in position. I've got to rotate them around 270 degrees. And
Now,
then,
which model of the Evo 2 do you have?
right now I've got the 8K.
Okay. And what do you think? What do you think of it?
It's the drone I really, really want to love, but I don't quite love. So I have the original Evo as well, and I've always had horizon problems. Now, you know, no drone is perfect. Even DJI, you know, you'll get a little bit of drift there, right? But most of the time, it's not terribly noticeable unless you're really looking for it. The Evo, the original Evo, I always had problems with horizon drifting, and I actually got it right here. But I actually had a problem with. I just figured it out today that one of the little rubbery thingies here actually came disconnected, and so while I was flying around, like my camera was like crazy bad. And then I don't know, it's still, and I know people are going to be like, oh, you're just a DJI fanboy. I'm really not. I'm one of those guys that's all about, I want a tool that's useful for me. I could care less about the brand. I just want a tool that is going to do what I want it to do and do it quickly. A lot of times when I'm doing, you know, a paying job, I'm on a limited time frame, right? I want to go get it done and get back and edit that and get it out the doors. That's how, you know, and get it done quickly. Or, you know, a lot of times if I'm just doing stuff for myself, I'm doing things at twilight, because that's my favorite time to capture images with, because you get just different colors and the lights and stuff, but you're on a limited time frame in terms of, you know, the light is changing every second. And so if you're dealing with a wonky gimbal, you know, you've got the horizon tilt, it's just, you know, you waste time. And little things like not having a button on the controller that I can just press to change between normal mode, tripod mode, sports mode. I do that all the time in every single flight that I do with my DJIs. And with the Mini, of course, there's not a switch on here, but on the Fly app, you can just up top left corner, you can toggle through it. With the Autel, you have to click the gear up in the top right, and then you have to go down and you have to click ludicrous, and then another pop-up pops saying, you know, giving you some disclaimer, you know, telling you, you know, that it's all your fault if you crash it, basically. And then you have to click OK on that, and then you got to exit out of that menu. So you got to tap like 4 times to change from just normal mode to whatever they call their tripod mode, or whatever they call their ludicrous mode, right? So it's just little things like that they just you know, makes it a little bit harder to love, right? I mean, it's a great drone. It flies really well. It's the best alternative to the Mavic 2, in my opinion, if you want, you know, a high-end drone. But to be honest with you, right now, I would put my $900 or whatever into, or a little over $900 or whatever, for the Mavic Air 2 Fly More package, rather than spending, you know, $1,400 or $1,500 or whatever it is for this, for the 8K version. Now, I don't have the Pro version. I don't have the Evo 2 Pro yet. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know.
Well, you know, one of the things I can say, first of all, you know, when I asked you that question, it sounded like, and you know, he's a good friend of mine. Ken Dono would have that kind of answer too. No, but I think you bring up some good points about Autel, and I can tell you the horizon tilt issue, David, it goes back to the X-Star Premium. Okay, their very first drone that they can, and that was my very first drone too. Okay, yep. And I think, you know, Autel has never had where their problem has always been for me is not with the hardware. I think the hardware has been really done really well. I think it's always been the software for me. Even from the X-Star Premium. And when I sold the X-Star Premium, their last software update was a beta, and that's how they left it. And when they went to make the Evo, they never finalized it, and it was how we'll wait weeks for an update from DJI.
Oh, yeah.
It was months for the X-Star Premium. I mean, it was literally months.
Yep.
So it's like that's my experience with Autel. Now, I think, and like you said, it gets frustrating when I wish things would be standardized, so to speak, but you can't have everything the same, because Hubsan is going to be different from Fimi, is going to be different from Autel, is going to be different from DJI, and you understand that. But having all that you said that you have to go through to change a mode, that's a lot to have to do that, and you shouldn't have to go through all that.
And obstacle avoidance ends at, so their normal mode maxes out at 22 miles an hour, and then you have to switch to ludicrous mode, and there's two different speeds for ludicrous mode. That the default one is 33 miles an hour, and the other one is like 40 or 44 miles an hour or something like that. I think it's 44 if I remember right. But as soon as you switch from the normal mode, then just like on the DJI products, if you switch to sports mode, there's no obstacle avoidance. But just to go above 22 miles an hour, you lose your obstacle avoidance. Where on most DJI products, like the Mavic Air 2, that's more around, that's a little bit faster. I think that's closer to 30 miles an hour or something like that. The Mavic Air 2 is like around 30 miles an hour, where you top out in normal mode, and then you flip to sports and you can go 40-ish miles an hour, and you lose your obstacle avoidance.
Yeah, that's that I think is something to be said for that. One of the things that I'd like to spend our remaining time on and to talk about it, and it kind of hit us by surprise day after Christmas last year, remote ID. Okay. And everybody's like, the Christmas present from the FAA that nobody wanted. And, nobody wanted to see this. And, the ridiculousness of the way the FAA had put this together was just, it was beyond absurd. And then I said, okay, we're going to give you a period to comment on it. And, I know a lot of people put, ludicrous comments out there, just ridiculous ones, but there were a lot of thought-filled comments that were out there. I know
a lot of very, very thoughtful comments with a lot of detail, a lot of data.
Russ had a great one. I'll just use his for example, because he actually did a video on it. I spent a good afternoon getting all my thoughts together and typing it up and making it sound professional. And here we are, and I'm sure I know Ron and Marcus put something on. I'm sure probably you did as well. And here, what does the FAA come up with? First of all, with the pandemic, I'm thinking they're not going to really be that concerned with this. Wrong. Okay. They're pushing forward with it, and they're pushing forward with it as is. David, it's ridiculous. I just don't see it.
Well, the problem is that all the money is driving everything, right? Us little people don't have a real voice, like a voice that's really going to be heard, right? I mean, the biggest voice we have is supposedly AMA, which I think I think their initial response to remote ID was terribly disappointing. I think they got a lot of feedback about that, and maybe change their tactic a little bit. But there's really no big entity from our side that's pushing anything. To be honest with it, DJI has been one of the best vocal. Brendan Schulman has been one of the most vocal and best advocates, I think, for the little guy. And I know a lot of people are gonna scream and yell, but hey, that drone to phone video was awful from DJI, to be honest with you. But I think what it ended up doing was kind of making a lot of people realize, hey, that is actually what the FAA is proposing. That's exactly what they're proposing, is exactly what's in that drone to phone. And I don't like how DJI presented in that video, but if you listen to Brendan Schulman, I follow him on Twitter and read all, every once in a while he'll put out a white paper, and he's very thoughtful, and I think he's one of our best advocates. But DJI, they just put out that I forget what the FAA called it, but it was a list of basically vendors that they're using to help kind of solidify the technical framework that they want to implement. And it was Amazon, and it was all big companies, right? That or companies that all have a financial stake in seeing it go in one direction, right? I think everybody on that panel was, there was AirMap on there, Verizon was in there. It was all people that have a financial stake to push it in that direction, and no group or anything from the opposite side to be kind of the hey, the dissenting voice, I guess, in terms of that, from my opinion.
Well, you bring up a good point with Brendan Schulman, and like you, I follow him on Twitter every day, and you're right. He's our best spokesperson regarding this, and I think the first thing, like you said, there was no real what I'll call drone business listed in there at all. Nothing was there. The first thing that hit me, and the second thing that hit me is there's still of this notion that this is going to be, it's going to generate profit for companies, say like Kitty Hawk or AirMap or, one of those type of companies. And, I'll give you an example. And I know the reason I say this is, Marcus flies a lot in Class G airspace. When he goes out to the Snake River, it's Class G. Okay. And he's literally miles away from a lot of places out there. And, you're supposed to have a cell phone signal. A lot of times when he gets out there, there's no cell phone signals. So how in the world is he going to fly if he doesn't have a cell phone signal in Class G airspace? Some of this stuff is it's just absurd, what the FAA is wanting to try to do with this. And this is something I mentioned in my comment when I put this out to them, was I said, when, I've been in IT for 30 years. And one of the things that I know of, and I think you can probably appreciate this as well, is that, before they implement a system, okay, they'll architect it out, and they'll do what they call a dry run, okay? They'll put it through some simulations to see if it's going to handle things like data flow and, the technical aspects of it before they even actually present it to like the VPs and execs to say, yeah, this is a project we want to go forward with. None of that's been done here. Okay. It's been like, okay.
A lot of it was not very thought through. And Lauren, I see your comment about all drone companies are Chinese based and therefore shouldn't have a voice in our regulations. That's a fair point. I hadn't really thought about that part, but that's definitely a fair point. So that's a good one. Now that actually brings me to the point that I was just thinking about as you're talking about that, is that the U.S. government is kind of talking out both sides of its mouth in terms of China, right? So they're talking about about all data getting sent back to China, right? And now they want to legislate that every single flying device is internet connected, right? So, and is transmitting data back to some central location. Well, that how's that really going to work out, right? So you're going to have a single repository that has all of the drone data in the entire US, and you don't think that's going to be a target for hackers? And it's going to be with third-party companies, and sure, they got good IT policies, but let's be honest with you, any company can really be penetrated if they really want to. And they're making this database that shows all the flights, where everything's going. So to me, it doesn't make sense to be talking out of one side of your mouth saying, no, we can't have Chinese-based drones because they're going to transmit data. And then on the other side of their mouth, they're saying, oh, but here, every device now needs to be internet connected so that it can real-time send data over the internet. It just, if it truly was a problem in terms of, data being, sent places, well, you would want to take away the internet connection. You wouldn't want to force an internet connection. That's how data gets sent back, is through an internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
And, DJI supposedly went through a process with the DoD to make a specific version of the hardware and software that was DoD approved, that was locked down and couldn't connect to the internet at all. That was kind of that whole exercise, but I don't know that ended up actually going anywhere. But that was the whole point of that, was that they were locking down the system so they couldn't be internet connected, so that a user couldn't accidentally send data over the internet. And now they're gonna legislate the fact that you have to have an internet connection, and it has to be broadcasting data.
Yeah, and one of the other things with this too is here we are again. It's $5 to register your drone, but we're going to have to pay somebody. Literally, think about this. We're going to have to pay somebody to fly our drone, right? To me,
Yep.
it's like, okay, I have to pay. I'm a Verizon customer, so I got to pay Verizon for my smartphone.
Yep.
I'm also an AT&T customer because my iPad is on AT&T, so I pay AT&T too. So it's like, here, okay, now whoever is it going to be AirMap? Is it going to be Kitty Hawk? We're going to have to pay them to be able to go ahead and get our birds up in the air. Okay.
Well, I actually had several Twitter discussions, public Twitter discussions with the founders of, I forget which one's which, but with Kitty Hawk and AirMap. They're on Twitter, and I had several discussions through the remote ID process where they'd put out some crazy thing, trying to talk up how good remote ID was and stuff, and then I was kind of fighting back with them a little bit, having a bit of a discussion with them. And they were basically saying, no, we're not going to charge anybody. Just like with Lance, we have Lance services through Kitty Hawk and through AirMap, and we're not charging users for that. And we're not going to charge the regular user for remote ID services. But they do want to do value add stuff, right? So there's going to be like a free level for just regular folks, and then there's going to be tiers, right? Just like anything, right? A lot of times you get a free a little bit of features for free, and then there's add-ons, right? And so that's part of what they're talking about. But there's going to be cost somewhere to us, right? Whether that's advertisements, whether that's somehow there's going to be cost to us that's going to be coming back at us, because they can't just do it for free. For nothing.
Obviously there's going to be a revenue stream for this from them. And the other thing that I hear with all this too is like, okay, UPS and Amazon have stakes in this because they want to get their drone delivery business up and running and everything. And I have to stop right here and say this. Okay, now I've talked to some, I have some subscribers from Australia who have told me that the drone delivery service there was horrific. All right. That, it's that I think Google makes the plane. It's huge. And from everything from what I understand, it's basically autonomous. There's no FPV view.
Yep.
When it's being flown. Yep. It's pre-programmed and it moves on. And I know they've tried this up in Virginia as well. And a lot of people say, oh, it's like, oh, it's going to happen next year. It's going to happen next year, And I know, and one of the persons who's really really harped on it, when I've had him on, has been Rick Smith. They're still years away from being able to do that, because I did see probably maybe last year, I found a video, and I don't know how old it was, of UPS doing a test with a truck and a drone coming out and actually doing a delivery, and it worked.
Yep.
The thing was, it had to be within so much of a range of that residence. So,
Yep.
you really kind of defeat the purpose anyway of having this, so this utopian idea of Jeff Bezos and all the bigwigs at UPS being able to, your packages are coming via drone, that's years away, I think.
Yeah, I think and I had said that before this whole remote ID came out. If you look at the waivers being granted and the authorizations that are coming out, it's still going to be a long time before it's a reality, especially here in the US. But that's exactly why the delivery companies want it, is because they want to be able to just push a button and have it go do it. They don't want to have a person watching it. They want to have it fully automated. They don't want to pay a person. They want to load something up in a package, and then it automatically goes down their conveyor line, automatically gets hooked up to some sort of a drone, and then off it goes. It goes and does its thing, and it comes back. That's where they're going to get their savings. They don't have a driver going and taking it, because that's a huge cost.
It is. It's a huge cost, and it'll be a huge savings for them. So, but you know what? It's like the technology is not there yet. It's just not. We're just not at this point. And one of the other things, being that you own a Autel Evo 2, is I know a lot of people that choose those because there's no geofencing on this. Okay. Well, when remote ID kicks in, it's a moot point as far as a selling point for Autel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, because, that's one of the things I'll hear a lot of times, and I'll go out and look on different forums, and, I'll see Autel owners, versus DJI owners kind of a thing. And, and that's one of the big things that they'll say right away is, oh, there's no geofencing. I don't need geofencing.
Yep.
Like,
yeah. For me, the geofencing hasn't been a problem. I think for some people, and I'm not saying for everybody, but there's a certain percentage of people that DJI's geofencing system is a knowledge-based issue, that a lot of people just don't understand how it works, and they don't want to take the time, right, to learn how it works. And so they just want to press a button, take off, and go fly. They don't want to have to learn to figure out what the different areas are. They don't want to have to look up where it is, so there's some of that. There's also, of course, a certain Skynet is real. There's a certain portion of people that just are ethically and morally or whatever against someone else controlling what they do with the property that they've spent their hard-earned money on, and I completely understand that. I also, being somebody who's been in IT and been in the business world, I understand the company side of that in terms of DJI. They're trying to protect their market, right? They're trying to make sure that one of their drones isn't on the front page of some website, or it's not splashed across the news that DJI just crashed a commercial airliner or something like that, right? So they're trying to protect their investment. If draconian legislation comes through, then that kills their market. So I mean, that's the reason why they're doing it. There's a lot of people, on both sides of the fence, right? I was on a Twitter thread last night that Brendan Schulman was participating in with, I think his name's Chris Anderson. He was the CEO of 3DR, the 3D Robotics, who, has kind of shifted focus. But back in the day, they were like one of the big names in the drone industry in terms of, making physical drones. Now I think they're more on the services side and software side. But he was, there was a recent article that came out about, I forget where it was in Florida, but was it the Bard Institute or some Embry-Riddle, I think it was, did some research, and they used DJI's Aeroscope around one of the airports down in Florida, and then they matched up Lance authorizations in that same area, and they determined that only like 7% of flights in the controlled airspace were actually authorized to fly. And so Chris Anderson from 3DR was tweeting at Brendan from DJI saying, hey, you guys need to do more to make it so your drones can't take off and they can't do these illegal things. And Brendan was saying, hey, it's just, there's a fine line between being able to say what people can do and what they can't do and that kind of stuff. And, if we go too far one way, then, they're not going to sell any drones. If we go too far the other way, then, it's a free for all. So he was saying it's a bit tough. And one of the things that I was saying is one of the problems with that particular study is that Lance is not the only way to get authorized to fly in a given area. You can apply for authorizations, especially if you have a waiver. Like I've got a 107.29 night waiver. You can't just do a Lance authorization to fly at night. You have to do a special drone zone. You have to get authorization through drone zone to combine your night waiver with that. And there's multiple different ways to be able to get authorization to fly in controlled airspace, and Lance is only one of those. And this particular article, or this particular research, the study that was done, didn't necessarily take into account that. And there's been a whole bunch of articles that have popped up around that research that are saying, oh, it's the Wild West of drones and they're going to cause problems and all this stuff, when it's not actually. I mean, it may be true, I don't know, but I think part of the problem is that when you have incomplete data, you can come to incomplete or incorrect conclusions. It's basically what I was telling Chris in that Twitter thread. And I don't know how much data is wrong or missing. I don't know how many authorizations go through Drone Zone as opposed to through Lance, but there is definitely some. And there was a user, a person, I think his first name was Michael, who had posted in LinkedIn as well as a Facebook group that I'm in, that talked about this. And he apparently lives in this area. And again, this is someone on the internet. I don't know them, so I don't know if they're telling the truth or not, but he seemed believable in what he was saying, that because one of the articles actually showed a heat map, showed the location and the altitudes of all the unauthorized flights, and he had actually looked through that data and found 12 of his flights in that were supposedly unauthorized, but of course he had gone through Drone Zone to get his authorization. And so there were only 19 flights in that study that had been authorized, and he another 12, just from him, that almost doubles the amount of, so it just shows that the data is not necessarily accurate. And who knows how many other people were, flying in that area and were also authorized by some other method that weren't accounted for in the way that they were analyzing the data. That makes sense.
That's something that, it's, and I'm glad you bring up the point here too. You brought up, you have a night waiver, and that's something that's different from Lance. And, that's something that you have to apply for with the FAA. And I think, people, because I'll get a lot of questions about that, and it's like, oh, can I do this to get a night waiver? And I said, no, you got to go through the FAA to do that. I didn't know exactly where, but it's out on their myriad of pages to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But how long of an approval is it for a night waiver? I mean, is it like a week or two, or?
I think mine was. I think most people had said, be ready for like a 3-month wait, and I think mine was about a month.
Oh, okay.
When I got mine, but it's I'm trying to remember when I got mine. It's been probably almost a year since I got mine, if I remember.
How long are they good for?
So I had just asked for a year, and they gave me 3 years.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's real good.
Yeah.
Obviously, you state your business purpose and need and things like that when you're filling that out, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Obviously, you state like your business purpose and need and what you'll be doing when you fill that out. I haven't seen the form.
There is no form. You basically have to try and describe how you're going to mitigate risks of flying at night. So you want to do things like demonstrate how. Well, first off, you have to have a visual observer all the time. You have to have like some sort of training material for them. So there was a link to some training material. So anybody who's going to be flying with me has to go through this material. You have to demonstrate that you're going to use the appropriate lighting, because you have to have strobes. And there's a few things. You just have to basically explain how you're going to mitigate the risks of flying at night. Okay. One of the things that I said is that I'll observe the area that I'm going to fly in during daytime before I actually fly in that area, so that I can observe any sort of obstructions or anything like that.
Well, that's good. That's good information to know. We're kind of at the end of the hour here, and first of all, I want to thank you so much for stopping by tonight. It's been way too long. I had you on probably well over a year ago, and I needed to get you back on because it's always a pleasure talking with you. And one of the things I like about your channel, David, is you're very thorough, you're very detailed. You don't skip anything, when you do your videos. And that's what I really like about it. And if you've been on the dark side of the moon and haven't subscribed to David, please do so. there'll be a link in the description for you guys to do that. So, is there
Appreciate
anything?
that, Bill?
No problem. Is there anything that you're currently working on that you'd like to let us know about?
Well, that's a so it's been a while since I've posted a video. I think it's probably been about a month since that's my biggest problem is I just don't get enough videos out. I think my subscriber base might be a little bit bigger if I put out videos more frequently, but I know you do a good job of getting videos out on a regular basis. I'm not so good at that. I get caught up with my kids or working or let's be honest, watching TV or something, and don't get videos out near as often as I should. But I've got the Mavic Air 2 that I need to get a review out. I need to get a video of the Autel Evo 2 out soon. So those are the two that I really am wanting to get out soon. And then the other one that everybody keeps asking about, and I don't know that I've seen anybody mention it here in the chat here, but almost everybody, anytime I show up anywhere or in my email or private messages or whatever, asks me about follow-up for this. So I've kind of put myself a deadline in my calendar that I've got to get a follow-up video for this, because I think I owe it to everybody to give an update on what happened with my Skydio.
I think that'd be a good thing. Well, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, family always comes first. Your boys are the age where they're doing things and they're active and, events and things like that, and, spending time with family always comes first. And, that's the same for me as well. It's like for me, Valerie and I, we're kind of sort of close to retiring. Now, I will say this, we were planning on coming up to Ohio in July. I don't know if that's going to be the case now or not. I'm probably going to spend some time up there. Our granddaughter's birthday is coming up. So, we would love to get up there. And I would, I make this promise, we get up there for more than 3 days. We're going to get together and do some.
Yeah, definitely let me know. And FSU grad 03, I was waiting for it from you, my man.
Marco.
He's one of the main ones always asking me, aren't you?
Marco's a great guy.
Good dude.
Really like him a lot.
But yeah, definitely. If you figure out a way to get up here, definitely let me know. And
you may be packing the truck up to do something like that, because I'm not real crazy about flying right now until they can get some of this air circulation stuff taken care of. That's all I have to say.
Things to be thinking about these days, aren't there?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Well, again, I want to thank you so much for spending the hour with us. I know it was a treat for me, and I know it was a treat for everybody in the chat tonight. I want to thank everybody that joined the chat tonight. I want to thank Jeff Voigt, and I want to thank Metro Drones for their super chats. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate that, and for your great and thoughtful comments throughout the thread. It's just great. I've been monitoring it tonight. You guys do a great job, and we. I really appreciate that. And, make sure before you guys, before we close out, make sure you hit that thumbs up for David. I'm the small part here. David's the big part here. We're here to see, I don't know about see me each week. Okay. You get to see David every now and then. And, make sure you hit that like button for him. He has a great channel, does a great job. Make sure you subscribe to him if you haven't done that already, and he's going to get some videos out there. Understand, he's a family person, family things come, and other things. So that's important. And that's on the list. Well, again, thanks so much, David. I hope everybody tunes in the next several weeks. I got some incredible guests coming up, and I actually have a VIP coming up in a couple of weeks. And I'm not naming names yet, because I don't get, until I get 100% confirmation from them, I don't want to let everybody know, and so-and-so didn't show up and everything. But I will let you know this. In 2 weeks, I have a VIP coming that I know David's gonna like who this is, and I know
you got me intrigued now.
A lot of you people are really gonna like who this is. So stay tuned. And again, thanks everybody for watching tonight. Make sure you hit up Kloogee and make sure you subscribe to his channel. Hope everybody has a great rest of your evening. Take care, and remember, it's a great day to fly.
See you guys. Thanks, Bill.
In episode 65, I was joined by my co-hosts Marcus Crawford and Ron Brown. We discussed at length our 5 favorite features on the DJI Mavic Air 2, and I also gave an update on the Fimi X8 SE 2020 regarding shipping and accessories. So without any further ado, let's roll that broadcast in its entirety. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 3, Episode 23, Mavic Air 2, Fimi X8 SE 2020 updates. Billy Kyle is not here tonight due to the unfortunate situation going on in Philadelphia right now. He had to postpone. He's fine. It's just business related, and he will be here next Monday. I don't know if you know these two guys or not. I may need to introduce them to you. No. Marcus, how are you this evening?
Darn good, Bill. It's going to be tough. Ron and I are, no way can we truly fill Billy's shoes, but we will have a good conversation this evening.
That's true. That's very true. Ron, how are you tonight?
Good, and I don't know about Marcus' statement. I wear a size 11. I may wear a bigger shoe than Billy does, but no. Where's Billy? I came here to see Billy.
Yeah, well, Billy's having to meet with some business people tonight because of he hasn't been able to film his stuff, do his property filming because of everything going on in Philadelphia right now. So, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody, and just please be safe. That's all I have to say regarding that. That's all we're going to do, because I've kind of had overload on that today as well. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I hope you guys had a chance to catch Sally French last night. Sally's an exceptional person, and she is just a great and one of the best ambassadors for drones out there, period. Surprisingly, she doesn't have her Mavic Air 2 yet, and I was able to pass on some tips to her. So, that was good. It's always good to talk to her, and she was in excellent spirits last night. Great show, Sally. Thank you again so much, and we really value. Please get me your address, because I got something that I want to send to you from Bill the Drone Reviewer. Tonight we got on the table. We're going to talk a little bit. First, we're going to talk about the Fimi X8 SE 2020, some ordering updates and some information. There's been a lot of things going on with that, so I thought I wanted to kind of make sure that everybody's clear on this. Get everybody clear on the coupon codes as well, because there's been some confusion on that. So I want to clear that up. And then there's a great accessory that, if those of you who have ordered it, that I highly recommend. It looks great from everything I've seen, and it's on Amazon, and we'll show that. Then we'll get to talk a little bit. We'll talk some about the Mavic Air 2 and what we like about it. And Ron said one word, everything. So Ron's already given his answer for tonight. So, but first we're gonna talk about the Fimi X8 SE 2020 a little bit. Now, there's been a lot going on with Banggood. And I know both Marcus and I, it's kind of like we want to do one of these when we're because we're affiliates. And we kind of want to do one of these when we're looking at our numbers, because we're just afraid, because a lot of people are canceling their orders. All right. So this is what we know as of right now, just to kind of clear the air, because I know there's a lot of people posting a lot of information out on the group page, and I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page as this. Okay. A lot of people have canceled their orders because they've received notices, they've received emails from Banggood, and a lot of them have ordered from AliExpress, and supposedly AliExpress will be shipping, and I've seen some information on that. My advice to you is this, okay, is hang on, because from what I'm hearing, this is going to be sooner rather than later that these drones get here to the U.S. warehouse. And Ron and Marcus know this as well, okay? When you're dealing with Banggood, when you're dealing with GearBest, okay, these kind of things are going to happen. So, the best thing I can advise you to do is to be patient, okay? If you can, because you've gotten a great price, okay? The price on these drones was fantastic, all right? Now, what I did was I ordered a second one, all right? And I ordered it from the Chinese warehouse, and I actually have information on that I'm going to share with you guys. Marcus, what are your thoughts regarding all this?
Well, here's what I'm going to say. It's really easy, Bill, for you and me to tell people, hey, wait, because we've got drones we can fly, right? We have other drones, and we can go out flying whatever we want. Now, I perfectly understand if you're somebody that you don't have a drone and you really want to go flying, and you're looking at month after month, good weather, it's disappearing. I can understand why that person might cancel that order and buy a Mavic Mini or a Mavic Air 2 if they can afford it, that they know that they can get, within a week or so. But just like what you said, when you order from Banggood or GearBest or any of those Chinese websites, patience is the key because, well, we've talked many times. My first Fimi X8, the 2018 version, it took me 5 months. I waited 5 months to get that drone. Now, I don't think this one is going to take that long, but it's just worth mentioning that. In fact, I'm trying to think of any time I've ever ordered from one of those Chinese retailers that a drone that it's actually got here on time, that it hasn't been a wait of months. From the Hubsan Zino, all of them, I can't think of one that actually got here on time. So, yeah. Ron, how about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Marcus. No, we talked about this a little bit off air, maybe last night or over the weekend. And Bill says, asked for what advice we give people waiting on orders. If you're like the three of us and you have a whole room full of drones, just sit on the original order at that great price of, what was it, Marcus? At one point, you get it for a little under $350.
Yeah,
and then some people you got $299 with the winning the contest. So if you did that, you have a whole room full of drones. Just wait it out. It will get here eventually. But it could be July, it could be August. But as Marcus said, if you have no drones at all, your only drone. Hold on. Pause here. If your only drone is something like this right now at this point, don't wait for summer to be half over, almost over before the Fimi X8 2020 gets here. Go out and get yourself something you can fly next week. If your budget doesn't for the Mavic Air 2, which is the I'm going to call the affordable drone I recommend now, but also that's the higher end of the affordable drone. Just get your refund. Go down to your local Best Buy if it's in stock. Buy the Mavic Mini, and you'll have a great summer flying. You'll get a lot of great video, a lot of great pictures, and you'll be trouble free. So that's my advice. If you don't have a good set, if you don't have any drone at all, your current drone is this drone here. Cancel that order. Go down to Best Buy, get the Mavic Mini. But again, I emphasize, if you have a whole bunch of drones, or if you live in a place where Bill does, where maybe you have good weather to fly all year round, that's a different story. But here where I'm at, summer's just getting here, but in a couple months, it'll be gone, and fall will be here, and the winds and the rain will start, and I forget the drone then it kind of just is, I get it out once in a blue moon to fly. So anyhow, that was a long-winded answer. Sorry, Bill. Throwing it back.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Hey, well, Bill, I just was going to say, I wanted to let you know I have those codes ready to put in the chat whenever you want.
Good. Yeah, and I'm going to bring that up on the screen. Now, first thing I'm going to share on the screen, somebody had posted this today in the group, and this was real. It's some encouraging news here, okay? And this was on Banggood's page, all right? This is note, sorry for delayed delivery time for the pre-orders in overseas warehouse due to suppliers' delay in delivery and long transport time from CN, China, warehouse to overseas warehouse by sea and railway. Boy, they love their run-on sentences. Anyway, about 3,000 pieces X8 SE 2020 are in transit to overseas warehouse so far, and most of back order will be processed in June. Thanks for your support. So that is at least some good news that they are coming, that they will be here. So those of you that have ordered from the U.S. warehouse with a date of July 10th, I think that's going to be a good date. I think you may get them a little bit sooner. I wouldn't count on it, but I would say July 10th is probably going to be a good date as far as that's concerned. Okay. Now, Marcus, go ahead and you can drop those coupon codes in the chat. Now, there's a coupon code for the U.S. warehouse, and I have it up here on screen, and Marcus is going to drop it in the chat. BG Fimi X8 SE 20, which is really easy for U.S., and the one for the Chinese warehouse is BG X8 SE 20 419, and who knows what 419 means, but those are the designations for these codes here. So I wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to get that, and thank you for dropping that in the chat, Marcus. That's good.
Hey, Bill, so we probably want to be clear on what that brings those prices down to with
yes, please.
Warehouse. Have you got that, or
yeah. No, go ahead, go for it.
In the U.S. warehouse, it brings it down to like $379.79, something like that. The Chinese warehouse, it brings it down to like $419. You know what? I'm gonna say even at $419, that drone is a good buy.
Absolutely.
It's not a great buy like it was at $350, but it's still a good buy. So yeah. Anyway, that's the choices, and there's the codes.
Now, what I wanted to share here too a little bit also is some additional information. Fimi actually put out a couple of tutorials on the SE 2020. One is on updating firmware via Fimi Nav 2020 app, and the other one is updating firmware via the micro SD card. And I'll drop links in the description so you guys can go ahead and check those out. They're very short. They're about 2 or 3 minutes, but they're actually not bad. That's the first time I've actually watched a tutorial from Fimi. I was actually pretty impressed. And they do have other ones from the original, from the 2018 version as well. So I definitely suggest you guys check them out. There are several of them here. So
can I add to that one, Bill?
Go for it.
So if everybody remembers when I got my 2018 Fimi X8 SE and a prop disintegrated, first flight, prop disintegrated, and it crashed. I was lucky, didn't really hurt the drone much. But literally the next day, Fimi posted a video, and it's one of these videos that they have on there, and they were talking about inspecting your props to make sure that those screws were all in there. And then they were telling me, this is one that'll get you. You know, there's a lot of people that have had problems with the legs cracking and breaking, and they very carefully were instructing people to inspect the legs on their drones. So it's pretty clear they knew they had something going on.
Well, you know, that's ironic, but I think those are excellent tips, Marcus, to pass on to people. Is, you know, before you go out for your first flight, check to make sure that those screws are tight on all the props. I mean, I watched Marcus's video and I just like, oh no, you know, I saw him and I was just like, oh my gosh, you know, when the first time he flew his Fimi X8 SE, and you know, it was like one of those, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, but thank goodness it really didn't do damage to his drone. He was he will be the first to admit he was very fortunate with that.
Oh, lucky. Yeah.
And lucky. And also to the legs. I mean, you know, I would say you want to inspect them before and after every flight. I mean, that's just something that we're going to go forward. Do you think it? And here's a question for you, Marcus: is it going to be different on the 2020 version or not?
So with regard to the legs in particular, I think the legs are even more important than those props. I think what happened to me with the props was more of a one-off situation, a manufacturing error, no doubt, but I haven't heard a lot of those. But what we have heard a lot of is people with the 2018 version, particularly flying in sport mode, that an arm will break and the drone will crash. So it is, I think, imperative that you inspect the legs on that drone and be careful of really abrupt maneuvers while in sport mode, because it's a very powerful drone. That said, I wouldn't let it stop me from enjoying the drone, but if you inspect them every flight, just so that you know you don't have a crack starting in one of the legs. And I actually had a commenter on one of my videos kind of warned me. He said, Marcus, he goes, I crashed my drone, he said, because of those legs. And I had loaned my drone out to Ron, and as soon as it got back, I inspected the legs, and sure enough, there was a start of a crack on one of the legs. I epoxied it, and it's fine. But I just think it bears mentioning to keep. That's just one of those things that you want to keep in mind with that Fimi.
Absolutely. And
and let me add that I did hot rod that drone all over the place, and
I did, Ron.
yeah, Ron Brown, hot rodder at heart. We all know how Ron likes to hit the pedal to the metal.
I took it down to drag races.
That's right. That's right. Well, the drag racing expert is in Idaho in this panel. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things is to let you guys know, parts are available for this. Unlike trying to get parts for a DJI drone, which is kind of like pulling teeth sometimes. They are available on AliExpress. I know I've seen legs out there for the Fimi X8 SE to purchase, and they're not horribly expensive. So, but have to know what you're doing and being able to repair drones like that to put those on. Because there's wires involved and maybe soldering. I'm not sure. So, but they are available. So just to kind of let you guys know something like that. Now, the other thing that I wanted to go and share tonight too is I found it, and now they're under a lot. They say it's currently unavailable. I kind of lucked out on this. It's by YX Intelligent Charger, and there's a bunch of different names that they go by. Now this is available on Banggood. It's available on AliExpress. I found it luckily on Amazon and was able to get one of the last ones that they had there. Now you're able to charge up to 4 batteries, a smartphone, and also your controller at the same time on this. Now it did say, and one of these things, and this is something that I can't emphasize enough, because I've heard people say, oh, I left my batteries on my charger, went out to dinner or something, and then, a disaster happened or something. Let me tell you this, and this has been my rule since day one in flying drones. When I'm charging these batteries, and I don't know about you guys, but when I'm charging batteries, it's like Valerie has a rule. Anytime that stove is on, okay, we have to be home. Like if a roast or something is in the oven, we don't go out, okay? The roast has to cook before we leave. I mean, that's her rule. And I like the rule. I mean, it makes sense. So it's the same thing with this for me, because, these batteries basically have chemicals inside them and can cause, fire and things. And, just for grins and giggles all the time, I always am home while these are charging. And
no, I got the same rules as you do.
Good, Ron. Those
for
are
the oven and the batteries.
You good? See, yeah. It's like
my batteries in the oven.
You put your.
Then if they explode, they're safe.
375 for 45 minutes. Okay.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that, everybody.
Hey, Bill, take a quick time out here in the comments. Go to Chris K about like maybe 20 comments back, and he talks about his Fimi, his order from the U.S. warehouse, and he expects it to arrive on June 8th.
Okay. There we go. My Fimi shipped from USA warehouse, order April 15th, and also is by Banggood. Surprisingly expected ship date of May 29th. Will arrive June 8th. That's fantastic, Chris. Thank you for sharing that. Now, what's ironic, I know, Marcus, when did you order your Fimi?
April 4th.
Okay, I ordered mine April 12th. And see, in Marcus, and we were talking about this last night on Zino Nation. And Chris, thank you for sharing that, and thank you, Ron, for calling that up. But what was interesting was we were talking about this last night, and like Marcus said, it doesn't make any rhyme or reason. People ordered after us are getting it before us, and just it's all messed up. I mean, there's no pattern or logic to this at all.
Maybe Banggood has the same distribution people that used to work for GearBest.
Yeah, probably.
Or on the Zino 2 release.
Hell, they could be the same company for all we know.
That I wouldn't doubt. Marcus brings up a good point there. They may use the same kind of company to handle customer service, because I'll tell you what, the reps from Banggood and the reps from GearBest are just almost like exactly the same.
What would you rate him, Bill, on your Build a Drone reviewer scale?
On a scale of 1 to 10, they'd probably be about a -10. Okay. they wouldn't even you know how that old saying is, I'd beat him down so bad he'd have to raise his hand up to the curb kind of thing. Okay. They couldn't even see see out to see the curb. Okay. That's how bad that is. Right. It's like every time you talk to them, it's I'll tell you what.
And you say talk, you mean mostly emails or
yeah, chat, really chat.
Yeah.
Their chats are just fantastic, because one time you get on, they'll tell you something, and you mark it down or take a screenshot or whatever. Next time you get on, they'll tell you the exact opposite. It's just, it's like there's no rhyme, there's no reason, and they will tell you anything to make you happy. Okay. Well, okay. Here's the thing. I asked him about my order. I was on the other night. This is like last week sometime. And I asked him about my order, and I said, okay, can you tell me when it's going to ship from the U.S. warehouse? And they said, well, no. Well, they said, okay, we'll give you 8,000 Banggood points. They said 8,000. Okay. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty good, because that's like $80. All right. And I said, sure. For waiting patiently, I said, sure, I'll take them. Well, no, we meant only, I put too many zeros. I meant 80. And I'm like, come on, pal. Don't be doing this to me.
Plus, if you got the 8,000 points, you can only use a certain amount of points per item. So it's not like you're going to get something for free. Like if you ordered a $300 drone, maybe you could use 1,000 as points or whatever. So it's only going to take a little bit off. And listen, go back in the chat real fast. Sam Burns brings up a question probably a lot of people have asked, and it spun by real fast, where he wants to ask Krish if any, if he used a coupon, because he says it seems like anybody that used that coupon, they're the ones that are not receiving their drones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Krish, that's a good question. If you could answer that for Sam. Look, for Krish, they gave him 800. Okay. And I'm like, they were offering me 80, Krish. Okay. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah, he said to use the coupon.
But Bill, if they gave you 8,000 points, you would have never been able to use them. They would expire. Some of that would expire.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you went the shopping spree, that was unprecedented. Because you would only be able to use so much per item. You would have never used them all.
Yeah, it would have taken me forever, and they would have expired. You're right. They would have expired by the time I could have used them.
Unless you order a drone every day of the week.
I would be ordering a drone every other day, and we'd be having giveaways on.
You have a whole house full of drones like this.
Yeah, the Eachine E58. Yeah, that was a real winner.
Actually, they say I flew for a few minutes in the backyard. They say this one flies real good.
They must have put they screwed. Mine was so bad, it took off, boom, pancake every time. So I switched the props on it, same thing, pancakes all the time, and I'm like, see you later.
The L2 hole worked perfectly. It held right whatever I popped it at 2 or 3 feet in the air. It stayed there and didn't move.
I've had, except, the only one I've had be able to get up successfully for any length of time, all right, was our golden egg buddy, okay? I was able to get him up, okay? Well, you know what? I need to find...
I must have the new firmware on this, Bill.
Well, okay. Well, you know what? I need, that golden egg is still sitting here, and I need to find somebody to send this to, okay? So, let me throw it out to anybody out there in the States, because I'm sorry, nothing against my friends overseas, but it's incredibly difficult to mail things.
And I would never get there anyways. They'd have it next year anyways.
You would probably get it, yeah, like Ron said, next year. So anybody that would be interested in the golden egg, you can take a look on my videos, okay? You can see I had Valerie's help with this. So
all three of us made a video with that.
All three of us took the walk of shame, okay? And you can take the walk of shame with Ron and Marcus and Build a Drone Reviewer, okay? There's no shame in that.
We need to add the caveat, though, Bill.
Okay.
If somebody gets it, it's just temporary.
Right.
They have to ship it off then to somebody
Pass
else.
it on. Yeah, I see.
Put their name on the list.
Bill's been hoarding it, okay, and Bill's not going to hoard it anymore. So anybody that wants it, and here's the thing, email me at buildadronereviewer@gmail.com with your address, okay? I'll pay for shipping, and it'll come to you in excellent condition.
And you make a video about it, and we'll show it we'll show a clip of it during the show
During Rotor Talk Live.
Yeah.
And probably Zino Nation will
and drop the link and get you more subs and whatever. Hey, go to the chat real fast again. Lauren put a comment. He said, "At Ron, I have such a deal for you. You won't believe that."
That's exactly right.
Which deal do you think he's referring to? The Fimi deal?
I think he's making fun of you, Ron, because you were liking that Ishin drone. I think
okay.
Yeah.
Well, it looks just like a Mavic. Actually, it looks just like a Mavic Pro 1, Bill.
Yeah, it does.
There's a micro version.
Okay. Here's one other thing I want to share, and I thought this was actually kind of comical. Okay. Now, I did get a shipping notice for my Fimi X8 SE 2020 from the Chinese warehouse, and I want to share this.
And is that worth the paper it's printed on?
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much. But here's the thing that I had to laugh. Package has been sterilized and shipped out, okay?
There you go.
Free sterilization.
You wouldn't have seen this in 2019, guys, okay? We're in the age of the coronavirus, and it's been sterilized and shipped out, all right? That just kind of really floored me on this one, all right?
And did you see the news earlier this week? Now the I'll say the scientists, they don't believe that the coronavirus passes a lot by on objects by touching. They think that's the least likeliest way you're gonna get the corona is by touching something.
And there, my wife and I, when we get our groceries, we've been wiping them down. We have a rag, we soak it with bleach water, and we've been wiping all our groceries down.
Bill, remember what they used to say when we were young? Better safe than sorry.
That's right. So
okay. Anyway. I want to make you guys jealous for a second. My wife just brought me some hors d'oeuvres.
Oh, Sarah,
Oh,
you need to ship them to Florida and to New Jersey too. Okay,
And they've been sterilized also, right, Marcus?
No doubt about it.
they're safe. They're safe to eat.
Yeah.
Definitely safe to eat.
Everybody, a growing boy needs a little food to get him through the show, right, Marcus?
Oh, and I'm growing all right.
Now, I have to. You know what? This is the interlude time. This is between segments here. So I thought I would share a picture of my beloved granddaughter. Okay. Now this was the latest picture I got from my daughter, and the shirt says on it, "I whaley with whale, love my daddy." Okay. It doesn't get any better than that, guys. That is just absolutely fantastic.
It doesn't get any better unless it's that I love my grandpa or something.
Yeah. I need to get her a grandpap shirt. That's for sure. So I thought I'd share that with everybody. Kind of like, there's just so much garbage going on right now in the news. Just want to try to get something kind of lighthearted. Everything.
Good. I thought you were going to say my drone was garbage.
Well, no, Ron, I would never say that. Not because I just threw that out in the trash. Okay. I was asking, this was funny. I had Rick Smith on. All right. And I told him I had that. And he says, "Bill, you know what you do with those kind of drones?" He goes like this, boom, and just throw them in the trash.
Now, before we get too off on this, now Ryan Duvall over at RD Drones Review sent this to me for review. So big shout out to Ryan's channel, and I bet you he got more views on his review of this than I get in my average drone video.
Well, Ron, because you're on, we'll get the word out about you testing the Ishin E58. I mean that, you'll get thousands of views on it that way.
What do you call go viral?
That's right. It'll go viral. Yeah, it'll pass up. You'll pass up Casey Neistat.
But the bad news is I got a whole box full of these things that I have to test and whatever. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But I know I'm disrupting the show here, so let's get back.
No. This is the interlude time.
Scheduled programming here and get off the This Week in Ishin.
This Week in Ishin by Ron Brown. Switching gears.
I hate to say it, but I think Ishin's a Banggood house brand.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Ron.
Our favorite shipping company.
Oh yeah, tell me. Yeah, painful. All right.
I think we touched this a little bit the other night. I think just even going back before the coronavirus, it seems like the stuff coming out of China, and it may have first started with the tariffs. And I'm just theorizing here or whatever. But it seems like all drone deliveries have slowed down to a crawl. And let me just say, not drone, anything you're ordering from companies like Banggood and GearBest has slowed down to a creeping halt ever since the tariff thing of last fall, and the coronavirus made it even slower. So I think it's all shipments from China, like from these type of companies, have all come to a screeching halt or whatever. And I don't, we can guess some of the reasons, but it's not just Banggood, it's not just GearBest, it's them all, it's all of them.
That's right.
Even if you order something from Amazon and it says it's shipping from China, the same thing. It'll warn you. It'll give you this long delivery date, like a month or two away. But even when that gets there, it's still not there. So it's all over coming out of China. So
yeah, it's anything coming out of China, especially right now. You can expect a pretty massive slowdown. One more thing before we get on to the Mavic 2. I said, you know what, Ron? You and I need to make sure of something here. We need to see if we can get Sarah to cater hors d'oeuvres to you and I while we're either on Monday night or on Tuesday night here.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Maybe we can get it delivered by drone.
That's right.
By drone, it'd probably be stale when it got to you.
Yeah,
we'd still eat them now, is what had happened.
We'd still eat them though.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, Brian, TDR Drones in the chat he got a hold of me or left me a message the other day talking about the shipments coming from China, and they virtually are all going on container ships. So that's part of what's taking so long. Some of the stuff that used to come air freight is now all on container ships. So, I'm sure that must take a minimum of a week and a half and probably 2 weeks. And then if you think about the time that it spends in port and in those containers, once they get offloaded, they have to go through customs and everything else. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Marcus, and thank you, Brian, for putting that up. All right, Mavic Air 2. We've been trying to get to this for a few minutes, okay? We've seen a lot of videos out there, and I know Ron has done a lot. I know Marcus has done a lot. And I was gonna, and this was funny. I said, and I told him when we were going over notes before we started the show, I said, I want you to kind of give me your top 5 favorite things about it. Ron said one word: everything. Okay, so Ron's already answered the question. Ron's already answered the question, but we're gonna go to Marcus and then Ron and myself. 5. If you get more than 5, that's fine. But if you can list 5 things about the Mavic Air 2 that you think are just incredible, go for it, Marcus.
Okay, so of course the HDR video is phenomenal. It really captures the low light situations and keeps from blowing out the highlights. Really works very, very well on that drone. Secondly, I'm going to say flight controls. The flight controls are phenomenal on that guy. And the way I describe that is anybody here that has a Mavic 2 Pro or Zoom, what a step up that was from the original Mavic Pro. That was a big step. I would say that the Mavic 2 Air is half a step above that, if that kind of gives you an idea. It's just a little bit smoother, a little bit more accurate. Next, I would say I do like that controller better than the old controller because of the placement of the of having your phone right there up above, and it's not blocked. You can get to everything on the phone, and then the active track is extremely accurate on there. And I'm not going to say that it's as easy to use as the Skydio, Ron, but it is easier to use than I think it was on the Go 4 app. It's because it's right there. You just draw a square of around yourself, and it brings it up. And then the obstacle avoidance is not as offensive as it is on the as it was on the Mavic. In other words, it doesn't beep as loud. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not the sharpest pencil in the pack, but I watched Ed Ricker's video today, and I understood what all those colors are now at the top of the screen and at the bottom of the screen when it is in obstacle avoidance. That tells you where the obstacle is at. You see that little orange at the top of the screen, and it will show where it's seeing all the obstacles. Same thing in reverse at the bottom of the screen. Sometimes you'll see a little orange bar down there. That's the obstacle the drone was looking at.
Wow.
I just always thought that was something weird on the screen.
I learned something new tonight, Ron.
Yeah. I watched that video too, and I had no idea. And I never ever recall seeing those colors. Is that something that's enabled from the get-go, or is that something you have to do in settings?
As long as you've got obstacle avoidance enabled, it'll be there, Ron.
Yeah, I think I have obstacle avoidance enabled, but I have to go in and study that. But again, that was a great catch by Ed, and I'm glad you brought that up. And I don't want to butt in. Are you finished?
I'm done. That's my 5. It's your turn, Ron.
Well, I agree with everything Marcus said, so I'm not going to repeat the things he said because I agree with them all. I'll get more points in it if I just don't repeat his. And just real quick before I get my points, and sorry, I got a little bit of a throat here. When you mentioned about tracking and just like Skydio too, you don't have to dig down in a menu; it's just there on the top screen. Do you think that's maybe? Do you think they looked at the Skydio app at when it came out late last year, and that's something that they maybe said, well, we should incorporate that in our new app?
No.
You think that's been on the table for them for a while? It's Skydio beat them to the punch and putting it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it's kind of a watered down version of Skydio's version, but I still welcome it. But
yes,
okay, again, agree with everything that Marcus points out. Here's some of the things that maybe he didn't say. I love the HDR video, but I love the photos coming out too. And that smart photo feature is a real winner. It's much better than your typical HDR photo thing that you find on a lot of high-end smartphones, whatever. I mean, this takes a great, processed image right off the camera for people that don't like the full with their computers. These photos are print worthy, right off the memory card. So I highly recommend using the smart photo feature for most of your photos on the Mavic Air too. And I like the compact kit, Fly More kit. It is small bag. Everything. I can't say everything's there. I don't have the charging equipment in here, but when I go out in the field, I have everything I need in the field out here, minus the charging equipment. Light, compact. What I like this side handle here. If you're not a strap guy like Brian Singleton, you have this little handle here, which makes it perfect to pull in and out trunks of cars and hatches and so on. So, the case, the photos, and I had another point or two here, and I've already kind of forgot them. I'm sorry, people. I got jockeying around with Marcus on that, the follow me stuff, and I kind of lost. I think I had a good point or two that I liked about it, but I'm going to throw it over to Bill rather than keep stuttering here.
Well, if you think of them, Ron, let me know, but I'll go through mine, and I'm going to do a little show and tell here, okay? And these aren't in any order, okay? The controller for this, okay? It was sheer genius on DJI's part to give you a controller with the look and the feel of the smart controller, because it holds in the hands so well. I mean, it's a natural position. It's just absolutely great. And what the second thing, my second thing is this, okay? A lot of people, think about the antenna here, guys. Okay, there's no more having to flip down when you're going away, flip up when you're up. Okay, this takes care of it here. Okay, so this is my second thing is the way they did this antenna. I absolutely love it. I think it was DJI just kind of hit a home run on this because you don't have to mess around with this anymore. And as a side note, and I would put this with my first one is having the cable stowed in here and not have to worry about it. Okay, it's just I think it's just absolutely fantastic for those of you guys who don't have it yet. That's where the cable is stored, and this is all in a nice, neat pouch. Again, that's my first two. One of the other ones that I really like on this, okay, it's the runtime on this. I can't say enough about it because, as you know, I've done quite a few hyperlapse videos, and I know Ron and Marcus know when you're doing hyperlapses, that is a battery eater. Okay, that eats up a tremendous amount of power on your drone. And here I am. I did that hyperlapse of the sunset, and I was able to, I did a lap around the lake. I switched it out of when it was done with hyperlapse, it was in normal mode. I did a lap around the lake, and I landed. I still had like about 35% battery left after that. Okay. And that was like a 15-minute hyperlapse. All right. So, I mean, that has constantly impressed me how well that takes that. And I have to agree. I think it was Ron talked about, I was going to say the smart picture. Okay. That was just, I've taken several of them. I've used mostly the back of my house. But I just absolutely loved it because everything looked very crisp, very clear. Like the detail on it. I mean, it was like we have orange seat cushions on our patio furniture outside. The orange really popped on it. I mean, you could see it. I mean, it just jumped out at you. So it was like, wow, that was really there. So that, that smart feature, that's something else that I really, really like. Another one is, and I got to say this, is the DJI Fly app. All right. And the reason I say the DJI Fly app is this is, they may have taken something, the Go 4 app, and they've condensed it to something that is, it's what I call, it's between a total beginner and somebody who is an experienced drone pilot. Okay. It's you're not a newbie anymore, but you've gone up a level. And I think that's what they did with the Mavic Air too. You can find things, the ability to find things on this has been absolutely positively fantastic. I mean, it's self-intuitive. It's very easy to navigate through. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. And I think for me, one of the other things is this, when I had it, one of my favorite things is having it in sport mode, okay? And it's going to do this, okay? That the drone is going to take a little bit of an angle down when it's going into sport mode. But I got to say this. I did that test, the sport mode around the lake. I got it up to about 42, I think, miles per hour. And there was, except for the initial going down, that was it. That gimbal was rock steady. And that was a huge improvement over the original Mavic Air. All right. Now, conversely here, if you don't have 5, but that's fine. Things that you don't like about the Mavic Air 2. I know I'm going to put these guys on a hot seat right now.
Well, I only really have, well, I'm going to call it 3. Two of them I don't like. One of them is a wish.
Okay. Well, that'll work.
Yeah. So, and Bill, you and I, you know what I'm going to say. It's the stupid white lettering at the top of the app, so that if you're looking at the sky, you can't see what your battery reading is. You can't read any of that telemetry. DJI, please just change the color. It can't be that tough.
Right, and that's more of a knock on the app than is the drone.
Yeah. That's true. Very true. Yeah, I guess the next one isn't really the drone either, and that's the bag. Hey, Ron, if you can hold your bag up there, so I think it folds the wrong way. The flap, it seems like it should go the opposite direction, and it's very awkward the way that opens up. So you can see where the zippers are. It feels like it should fold from the bottom up, but the way he does it now, you can see there, you got to kind of pull that over, and it's hard to get that open. And that is very nitpicky. I absolutely know that. The other thing that I was thinking of is I wish the drone had 360 obstacle avoidance, because the tracking is and the tracking and APAS are so good on that drone. If it had 360, it would be phenomenal.
Let me stop you just for a second. Keep that train of thought, though. How much more money would you be willing to pay for the 360 obstacle avoidance?
Another $87.34.
Okay,
that's my limit, Ron.
But point being is they had to get the 799. They had to change the law. If they wanted to charge $100 more, $200 more, I'm sure it would have been there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I got one more, and Ted Bowman reminded me of that. I wish we had adjustments for the gimbal and the yaw.
Good ones.
That's it. I'm done, Ron.
I'm gonna just steal it for just a second, Ron. Our good friend Cliff Totten said no picture controls, contrast, saturation, and sharpness. Okay, so that's that. Thank you, Cliff,
that's a good point, Cliff. But again, kind of like the other thing that Marcus brought up, that's more of an app issue than.
Yeah, that's more of an app issue. Yeah. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah. And I want to go out to my good friend Brian Singleton. I didn't say I necessarily like the bag. I'm kind of neutral in the bag. I don't like it, dislike it. But I mean the compact size of it. My Mavic 2 Pro case is more than twice the size of this. So no matter what you put it in, well, I mean, I guess you could put the world's biggest case. But my point is, it's more compact to travel with than the Mavic 2 Pro. Whether you use this case or another small case. Cons, like I said, I don't really have a major con. I agree with both Mark's and Cliff's thing, but that's more of an app thing, so I'm not going to beat the drum. If you want me to talk about my major cons for the Fly app, I got a big list, but I'm going to stick to the drone here. I guess the only thing, the small things. Yeah, I wish it worked with the smart controller, but it will. It doesn't prevent me from having a good time and flying it at all. And and I always have these points, and I get to them. I'm just forgetting them tonight. So that's about it. Which works smart controller, no big deal. It will eventually. And it was another firmware update we're waiting for. Mark, help me out. What's the other firmware update?
Smart controller.
What's the second one? After that one, we want to see something.
Probably for the gimbal.
The gimbal, yeah. I'm sorry, folks. I have all this stuff, but when it gets around to me, it's just going out of my head. So I'm going to throw it over the bill so I don't mumble and stumble around here.
No, I'm gonna. You know what? And I'll tell you what. And Ron, if you think of them, you can feel free after to interject here at any time. Number one, I agree with Marcus. That font on that app is just a killer. Okay, and that goes with the Mini too, because it's on the Mini. So. DJI, that's a real simple change. Just do it. Like Nike said, just do that. Okay. I know this is a personal preference for me. Okay. Now I'll tell you what. This gimbal cover, and I know you guys are okay with it. It's a real pain in the butt for me. Okay. Because I'll tell you what, the Mavic 2 Pro, a lot of people had problems with the Mavic 2 Pro. That was a piece of cake for me. This is a pain in the butt. All right. I'm gonna be upfront about it. All right.
Can I give you a little secret, Bill?
Yes.
You just slide it straight in. Don't try and hook those top two things.
Okay.
Slide it straight in.
Okay. I will try that next time I do that. It just seems to me it's just like, okay, I'm just for me, I'm like, oh man, this is just a real pain in the butt. And I got to go, one of the other ones is that flipping case. Okay. It's not only for the reason that Marcus said, because it should open the other way. That's the natural way. I don't know why they do it backwards like that, but everything is packed in there so tight. Okay. It could, because for us, we'd throw it in the back seat of our car in the back hatch. we're going to fly, whatever kind of a thing. Okay. And that stuff, it's so compact, something could happen with that. I mean, I'm just a little, it's just one of those things for me that for me, I think they should have probably made, a little bit of an extra investment, put a little bit more room in there, or maybe a little bit more cushioning or something. Cause it's just so absolutely flipping tight in there. I really think that. I also agree on the 360 obstacle avoidance. I would probably pay another $100 for that. All right. I'm gonna up Marcus on that one. All right. I'll probably pay 100, but seriously, having that. And now here's the thing with this. Okay. And this is the thing on the Mavic 2 series, a lot of times, depending upon, it's only that 360 is only active in certain modes. Okay. It's not active all the time. All right. So I think, that's something that they need to work on going forward, is when they say 360, there should be a way to be able to engage it all the time when you're flying. Okay. Or shut it off, or say shut the sides off, or shut the front and back off, or top and bottom. There should be a way to do that. There should be a way to toggle that. Now, I expect maybe we'll see something like that on a future Mavic series. I don't know, but that's going forward. And I would say probably like one of the last things is right now is there's been a lot of confusion, and there was, especially for me, and I know people have railed at me in the comments and stuff about ADSB. All right. Now, my instances have been, I see it on the map, I hit the thing, it's not there, I expand nothing. Okay. And then I hear a plane and I hear nothing, and I've gone through the comments and I've talked about it with people and stuff, and I've sent it to DJI. They keep saying their team is looking at it, and I'm waiting to hear back from that. But I think they need to kind of clarify that. Go ahead, Marcus.
CL Tech just posted a video today or yesterday where he shows exactly what you're describing, Bill.
Okay.
And I don't know if I want to call it a close call, but it was closer than you or I would ever want to be. He literally moves the camera up on the drone, and you see the aircraft. I mean, I don't know how far away it was. Like I said, it wasn't even a close call, but it was closer than you would ever want to be. And the ADSB said nothing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys see Lauren's comment here? He said adding 360 avoidance will cost a lot more than $100, require a stronger processor, etc. So, I mean, again, we're hoping for something that would, that wouldn't be on a drone under $1,000. I think is where this conversation's going.
So Lauren, will there be a drone coming anytime soon that has that? Lauren, can you give us any?
And I just want to, Bill made my point why the Mavic Air 2 is such a good drone. Look what his issues were. The case, which if you didn't get the Firmware kit, you would never know this case. The gimbal guard, which of course everybody sees that, but you're not really talking about the drone itself. You're more like talking about accessories. So that's a great thing. And I know what I want to talk about, and I'm just like you, Bill. I'm talking about something that's accessory that if you didn't order the Firmware kit, you wouldn't even know this. The ND filters you get with it, they give you a 16, a 64, and a 256. And the 16 is it's like the darkest 16 ND filter I own. And so the other two are going to be almost useless unless you are in some kind of special scenario where you're flying into the sun or whatever. Well, the 256 is for slow shutter photography, like trying to get the motion blur and waterfall, stuff like that. But even the 16 is too dark in most situations. They really cheat us out. We should have got like an 8, a 16, and a 32. So basically, they give us ND filters, but we still need to go out and get the ND filters we really need because they only give us one ND filter of any real use, and it's too dark. So, but again, it's really not. It's not really the drone. It's an accessory issue or a packaging with the Firmware kit. So, physically with the drone. I mean, I have almost no place. Somebody mentioned the gimbal in there, and we know it has an issue where if you're flying, people say if you're flying in sport mode, and I'm putting this into the wind, it forces the gimbal to go, face down towards the ground more. I have the same issue with the Mavic 2 Pro. So I just think that's I don't know if there's something they can be fixed except to build a bigger drone with a stronger gimbal on or whatever, or don't fly in any wind, or don't fly in sport mode. So that's small con, but I don't think there's anything they could have really did about that.
Well, it's real interesting here how, our likes were, and this is real interesting, okay? Because I listened to what all three of us had to say, and we were kind of focused on the drone and on the controller for our likes, okay? And our dislikes, like you said, Ron, and this is a great point, they're not really related to the drone or the controller, okay? Where, it's like the app, the bag, the gimbal guard cover, extemporaneous things that aren't really the drone. So, I think to sum this all up, I mean, for all of us, I mean, I think we're kind of in agreement. This has been, for the three of us, it's been a great experience. It really has.
Let me sum it up. DJI got the hardware right in this one.
Yes. That Ron just nailed it right there. They did. They got the hardware right. Let's work on some software here, guys. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we need to kind of up the ante here as far as the software is concerned. So
we need one of these giant firmware updates to come out that does more than just bug fixes.
Yes.
And thank you, Jaybird. We just got a super chat.
Yes, Jaybird, thank you very much. And I wanted to acknowledge some people that showed up tonight, and I want to thank them. I normally do this before, but we're here at the end of the show. But Jaybird was here tonight. Brian was here. Cigar Nation Warriors. Ian Fleming. Stephen Fox. Lauren was here tonight. Let's see who else was here. Darren Kay. Ian Fleming. Sally was here tonight. Thank you, Sally. Of course, Cliff was here. Ed Kursiak, Darren Kay, Sam Burns was here, Stephen Fox, I know Stephen Ewing was here, Michael Wright was here tonight. Just going through the chat, I want to make sure that I kind of get people tonight that have been here. I know Ted was here tonight. Thank you, Ted, for stopping by. Had a good show tonight. This was really good. I think I think this was a good, especially giving you guys, this list. I mean, it kind of cements for all three of us that this was a no-brainer decision in getting the Mavic Air 2. And like last night, it kind of floored me that Sally didn't have it yet, but she's really looking forward to it. And I try to pass on some tips and suggestions to her. She didn't know about the one, charging the batteries, not in the multi-charger, but charging them one at a time. So I got her that tip.
Marcus has a point.
Go for it.
Well, I just want to kind of pile on what you were just saying, Bill. So here's what I'll say. If somebody tomorrow said, Marcus, you can only have one drone, I wouldn't even have to think about it. I'd say the Mavic Air 2. And in fact, I will say, regardless of price, it's probably the best drone I've ever purchased. Now, there's other drones that may do certain things better. No question about it. The Skydio, for instance. But as far as an all-around drone, video, photography drone, it's the best one I've ever owned.
Well, Bill, I'm going to put you in a spot again tonight. You're Bill, the drone reviewer. Will you certify this Mavic Air 2 as a Bill the Drone Reviewer approved drone?
It is a Bill the Drone Reviewer approved drone.
Well, I got a list going of all the drones, say you would be approved. So you would recommend this drone. If somebody came up, family, friends, loved ones that trust you, you would wholeheartedly give them the recommendation on this.
Absolutely.
Any reservations.
But one thing, and this is one thing, and I think this is probably more for people along our lines and our experience with drones, and not, I would say, not beginner hobbyists or middle hobbyists, people that have been flying drones for a while, okay? Understand something. Understand that the sensor in this guy, okay, is not the sensor in this guy, in the Mavic 2 Pro, okay? This became very apparent to me when I did my hyperlapse video of the sunset. And I think you guys know, and just for me, I don't do a lot of posts. I don't do a lot of, I do some, but I don't do a lot. But I had to do it when I did the Mavic Air 2 with the hyperlapse sunset, because it doesn't allow that low light capture. And one of the things where it became, and I think this may have actually sold Ron on the Mavic 2 Pro, was when we were at the beach and he was flying his Mavic Pro. I was flying my Mavic 2 Pro, and he was looking at his screen and how dark it was. And it wasn't because of his iPad, okay, or his phone. It was because of the sensor in the Mavic Pro. And he looked at mine and he's like, wow. I think Ron, I think that made your decision for you. Am I right?
That was a strong push to it. That it was so much better in low light than my Mavic Pro 1 was. And just thinking, you had smart controller that night in the beach, could even see it better.
Yeah, I didn't have my smart controller. I did it with my iPad that night. So,
but you still convinced me to order my Mavic 2 Pro, to forgo the regular controller and just go straight to the smart controller.
Absolutely.
My Mavic Pro never been flown with anything but smart controller.
Smart controller. And I'm so glad. And Ron, and you know what? I'm so glad that you stuck it out, because I know first on when you had it, you were having issues. And I think it was you were having some Wi-Fi issues and stuff.
Well, I couldn't get the upgrade or whatever, but and DJI wasn't a great help to me on that. I kind of watched a few videos and pieced together my solution or whatever. So, but ever since then, it's been rock solid. And of course, we talked about the issue with the Go 4 app doesn't update as quickly as people that have it on their phones or whatever. But that's a small price to pay, because anymore the Go 4 app, it's not like they have any earth-shaking updates anyways. They're mostly bug fixes anymore anyways. When's the last time an important feature got added to the Go 4 app? And to me, things like the drone database stuff are important features. It hasn't really got any real knockout features for a long time. So
absolutely,
you see where I'm going with this.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's do closings here, Marcus, Ron, and then I'll wrap things up.
Just want to tell everybody, hey, let's focus on the good things that we have. We can fly drones. The weather's getting better and so forth. Be kind to your neighbors. Everybody's under a lot of stress right now, with not just with the pandemic, people out of work, etc., and all the other stuff that's going on. Let's all make a big effort. Be kind to your neighbors. Get out and fly those drones and have fun. Ron?
Thank you, Marcus. Yes, I hope everybody's safe out there too. These are troubling times for many reasons, and we're not going to go into them, here. This is to kind of get away from all those troubles. I just want to do a couple promos. I don't think we mentioned last week, Marcus, but next week on Zino Nation, we got the great Al Duran back on with us again. Al's got some stories. I think he's had another drone crash since the last time we've had him on the show. So it's going to be another great episode. And right after this show, I've dropped the link in the chat. Links are in the chat. I'm going to go live with Michael from Philly Drone, and we're going to have a big show tonight. We probably have big-time guests and promotions and whatever like we usually do. So make sure to hop over there after this show if you still want to hear about drones. If not, you can turn the news on and get yourself depressed for the next hour. And don't forget, I'm going tomorrow night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be on Bill Thomas's Coast to Coast Drones Drone Therapy show with John Coopy, Ethan Mitchell, and we got Danny Tomas, I believe I'm saying his name right, as our guest tomorrow night. So it should be a good show. So with that being said, I just put a video up recently where I was showing how to take the any video or pictures that go on the Mavic Air 2's internal 8 gigabytes of storage and get that off and onto your computer. With Marcus's help, he kind of got me started on the process a couple nights ago when I went to the beach, and I forgot to format my memory card before I flew, so I ran out of a space near the end. But I got a little video on how to get that off, because all my time flying the Mavic 2 Pro, Bill, I've never ever had to rely.
Really?
I've never had to rely on that. External
on the internal storage.
On this flight I did Saturday night, I took all HD. I think all my video was HDR video, which probably is a considerably bigger file than normal videos. That's probably why I ran out of space. And the big reason is because I forgot to. I don't think I've ever formatted the memory card. I think every photo and video I've taken since I got it on there, so it's formatted now. So I'm ready for a fresh flight now. But check that video out if you're interested in that. I just posted it a couple hours ago, and I got a video coming up soon where I'm taking the pictures. I'm big on a smart picture photo. So I'm comparing what a regular photo looks like compared to the smart photo. I'm going to have a lot of side by sides or whatever, and you're going to see how much better the smart photo is in the same exact photo. Just taken without any in-camera processing by the algorithm of the smart photo thing. So I've talked way too much. I'm going to throw it back to Bill. And good night, everybody. I want to thank everybody for going to chat. I'm actually going to scoot out of here. I take a little 5-minute break before I start filling my show. Thanks for having me on, Bill. Always great.
Thank you, Ron, for showing up tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for being on our show last night for providing that information. And I will see you guys on the next one.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I'm gonna kind of echo Marcus and what he said. And I know you've heard this from me before, guys. We're going through. There's just so much crap we're all going through right now. And here's Mr. Rogers' 3 words for success: be kind, be kind, and be kind. Okay, that's what we all need right now. It's just there's just too much going on. And enjoy flying your drones. It's an escape for Ron, for Marcus, and myself. And I know for all you guys, that's why you watch. And that's why, we're all hobbyists at heart. Even if we do some things professionally, we all love to go fly our drones. And that's the message I want to pass on to you guys. Weather's getting nicer. Let's get these birds out and, get them up in the air and enjoy them. And, the other thing I wanted to say is this too. If you had a chance to watch, and I know a lot of you do, I know Marcus and I watched, and my wife and I watched, SpaceX with Dragon, and Americans are back in space, guys. That is a bright light. That is something that we can kind of say with pride. The Americans are back in space right now, guys. It's phenomenal, and it's American technology with an American company. We can have some pride in that. So if you want to have some pride, that's what to have some pride in. Billy Kyle will be here next Monday. He did confirm with me, so we're going to do Monday at 7:00. And Tuesday at 8:00, I have a VIP from DJI. I can't tell you who this is because I haven't confirmed 100%, but he has not been on the show before. You are going to really like him. He is pretty high up with DJI. So I think you guys are really going to want to tune in. Want to just pass on to everybody else. Remember, it's a great day to fly, guys. Take care, and we'll catch you next time.